first African-American Republican national chair. What type of role do you feel that you have played, as well as others like Lawrence Douglas Wilder, Jeanette Bradley, Ron Brown, and President Obama, for future black politicians that aspire to be high-ranking political figures?
Well, I think you start with the idea you don't let anybody define your success. There were a whole lot of people who told me I shouldn't be chairman of the RNC. I said, okay, thank you for your opinion. It took me 6 ballots to get elected, but I won. And the reality of it is that, you know, again, I go back to one of the lessons my mother taught me. It's just like, you make those decisions, no one else does. So if you want to be something, if you want to do something, you are the final person to decide how, when, what that is. And I think what's important for your generation to understand and appreciate is that you are self-empowered. You don't need to get permission from me. You don't need to get permission from Barack Obama. You don't need to get permission from the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. You don't need permission anymore. Because you're self-empowered. That's what King was talking about. That was that dream. That dream came from a place and went to a place that a whole lot of folks didn't understand, because it all focused on your ability to make decisions. Because this country said you could. The Constitution said you're empowered to do so. You have rights. You have all these things. So why not take advantage of it? And so whatever you want to be it. And if you're not it, the only reason you're not is because you decided you didn't want to do it. And that doesn't mean there aren't going to be obstacles along the way. It doesn't mean it's not going to be difficult to do, because trust me, there are going to be a whole lot of folks out there that are going to block and tackle you. And you're going to run into 2 people in your life. And I hope you all understand and appreciate this. You're going to run into that person who stands at the door and looks at you and go, now, what you want? Who do you know? Yeah, well, we'll get back to you. And sometimes they'll look like you. Okay? So you need to appreciate that. Because not everyone who calls you brother actually is. And then the second person you're going to run into is going to be that person who's standing at the door, and he's going to have his foot in the door, and he's going to say, y'all, come on, get as many of y'all in here as I can. All right? Because they recognize and appreciate what you represent going forward. And talking about that table, getting in that room where that table is one thing. Walking in with your own chair, it's a whole nother ballgame. And a lot of us don't appreciate that. We're still outside the room waiting for somebody to give us a chair so we can go in. And it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You got to get that chair on your own, and then get to the door and say, excuse me, I have a seat at the table. Right. And make them deal with it. Make them deal with it. Quick story. When I first got into the party, I was not welcomed. Trust me. Not a whole lot of folks looking like me at the dinner I went to. Very few people talked to me. So, friends of mine told me, well, you know, I told you Republicans hate black folks. I told you to get out. I told you. And I thought about it. I said, you know what? You know, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's not a whole lot of love coming here. And I've been a Republican a long time. I guess at that point I was about 7 years. I was 24, 25 years old. And so I was like, yeah, okay. But I thought about it. I said, well, I can do one of 2 things. I could wipe the dust from my feet with the party, stand outside, point fingers at it, call it and blame it, name it, do all that. Or I could really piss people off and get involved. Right. So now I'm chairman. And guess who they have to deal with when it comes to, can you send us $1 million? Maybe.
No.
Take your chair into the room. All right? I've kept you guys late.